everybody, it's Debbie West. I'm coming to you today with another Art with Purpose art lesson. I'm actually coming to you today on behalf of the Palmetto Ocean Conservancy Guardians of the Sea program. I got a call and they asked if I would put together a fun art lesson for all the boys and girls that live in the Low Country. And of course, I freaked out and went, of course I'm going to do that. So I'm going to teach you guys a really quick fun art lesson that everybody can do from home during this crazy challenging time that will honor all the sea animals that live right in our backyard. So before we get started, let's go ahead and brainstorm and think about some of the animals that are our friends and the sea life that lives right here in the Atlantic Ocean. We know that there's fish, and we know we've got sea turtles. We know we've got some sharks, some dolphins, some whales, some jellyfish. And I'm sure right now you guys are thinking of a whole lot more because you are the smartest artists. So be thinking about what kind of sea creatures and sea animals that you would like to honor and represent in your art project. I actually did a fish and I did a sea turtle, but it doesn't mean that you have to do a fish and a sea turtle. I want you to do whatever sea creature you would like to do. Before we go any further, though, I want us to also think a little bit about why it's so important to protect these animals that live in our backyard and to show the world how much we love them. Well, I wonder if we thought about it and we took one of, I don't know, let's just start off here with the fish. And we took this big old fish. And imagine just looking at this fish. We're like, it's beautiful, it's lovely, we love this fish. But what if this fish had more of a human feel to it? For example, what if we actually gave this fish a human eye? So let's take a look right here at this fish. This is something like what we're going to do today. And we look at this fish right here. What do we see right there? Is that a fish eye or is that perhaps a human eye? Did you say human eye? Because you got it right. It absolutely is a human eye. What about this sea turtle right here? What kind of eye do you see right there? Is that a sea turtle eye? Or is perhaps that a human eye? You're right again, it's a human eye. And every one of you gets something in the mail every day called junk mail, right? You get magazines. I'm sure mom and dad get magazines. They get brochures. They get a bunch of junk mail that oftentimes we end up throwing in the trash, right? Well, what if you said, hold on, let's not throw it in the trash right away. Let me go through it and find out if I can find some really cool, very large human eyes. Now, I happen to grab two of my favorite magazines here in Hilton Head. I grabbed CH2 and then my all-time favorite magazine, Pink Magazine. And I started just looking through these magazines to see if I could find, I don't know, a couple human eyes. Pink Magazine was very cool because it's such a large magazine that I could find some really big eyes. So the first step of this project is to look through magazines, to look through some of the, junk mail that you guys get and see if you can't find a picture that has some eyes in it. So I happen to find one right here. Y'all see those eyes? And the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut these eyes out. I'm only gonna probably need one, or depending on how many animals I decide to do, I might need more, but I'm gonna start off with just cutting out one. And cutting it out very carefully, very slowly, thinking about what you're doing is important. Now, I want you all to know while you're doing this that I'm also going to be giving you a packet full of how-tos of how to do this. So you know what supplies you're going to need. You'll know about how much time it's going to take. And you'll know kind of the step-by-step of what to do that you can read along with me with this video. Now, check this out. I cut out that itty bitty little eye. Can y'all see that? I think that's the side. There you go. An itty bitty little eye right there for you. And what we're going to do next is we're going to take some paper and we're going to glue this eye down right on top, maybe, here we go, of paper. And guys, I'm just using copy paper. It's not a very high-end, very expensive drawing paper. Now, if you want some of that, you can certainly grab that. But if you don't, know if you got right now some copying paper that maybe mom or dad are doing some printing on, that's perfect to grab. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a glue stick, but you can also grab some glue all, Elmer's glue, or even some tape. If you have some Scotch tape, that would work too. And I'm just gonna put an itty bitty little dab of glue right on the back of my eye that I cut out. And that is how we start this project. I get it. Get it? I get it. So there is an eye glued down right there. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the shapes, the lines and the shapes of whatever animal you choose to draw. Now, as I mentioned, I chose to do a fish and I chose to do a sea turtle. So I'm just going to keep going with the fish here because it seems to be, it's a pretty fun, simple way to showcase how to do the lesson. So I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to draw a very large curved line here following the shape of a fish. Could even be a whale, couldn't it, if I wanted it to, or a dolphin. But notice it's just a curved line that closes and comes together. You can even take a look at your little fish, you know, those goldfish crackers, and look at the shape of that as you begin to draw this. Now we know, if you do some research, that fish have fins. So I'm going to draw some more curved lines on the bottom there. And then I'm even going to draw a fin right here, and maybe even some gills, some lines, and that's how they breathe, with their gills, right? Once I finish drawing this with pencil, the next thing I'm going to do is take either a black crayon or a black pen, and I'm going to outline those lines that I just drew so that I can see this almost like I'm making my own coloring book page. Whoop, whoop, check it out. Got my gills right here, couple gills. I got my fins right here. Another fun thing to do, which you'll find in the packet, is you'll get some really great vocabulary words. So you'll know what all of these parts of the fish, some of the other animals, the anatomy is called. So that'll be something fun for you to do some research and look into that a little bit. Okay, now the next thing is, because that's really the difficult stuff right there. Now we just get to have fun coloring this in. Now there's a ton of really cool art materials that you can use to color in. First thing we have are markers. Gotta love me some markers. I kind of like the Mr. Sketch markers because they smell really good, but they also have a really lovely chisel tip that really is great for painting. So check this out. If I take the lid off of my marker and I come over here and I begin to paint with my marker, I can color in my whole fish just by painting with the marker, which is kind of groovy, right? You can maybe stay in the lines or maybe even go out of the lines a little bit if you want them to have a little glow around them. Either way is great, however you want to do it. So you can start off like that and then make sure you put that lid back on real tight. Take your next color and you're going to come in here. Maybe we're going to make a rainbow fish. Oh, the other thing I've done, by the way, guys, is I've given you a whole list of really, really, really cool books that you can read that kind of go with these lessons and kind of help us remember to think about how much we love our marine life, our sea life right here, our neighbors. So I'm just going to keep maybe adding marker there, or maybe I want to really mix things up a little bit, and I'm going to grab my very handy, very fun crayons. Now for me, I like to take my crayons right out of the box and put them right into a little bowl, okay? That way I don't have to dig them out and I can see all the rich, beautiful colors right in front of me. Y'all, I'm using a box of crayons right now that I think is about 10 years old. I have so many crayons, it's crazy, in my art studio here. But I'm going to go ahead and grab, I don't know, this blue looks kind of fun. And I'm going to begin to color in parts of my fish now with a crayon. Now the key to coloring in with a crayon is all about this thing right here called your muscle. Did you know that each one of these crayons has 7 colors in it? 7 colors, I'm not even kidding you. Want me to show you? I'm going to prove it to you right now. If you turn your paper over and you take your muscle and you push down as hard, let me see if I can get this here for you, as hard as you possibly can. I don't edit videos, so what you see is what you get. As hard as you possibly can. Look at that bright, beautiful blue right there. And then I slowly begin to lighten up my muscle. That dark blue starts to turn into a lighter blue, to a lighter blue, and it finally fades into white. That's called value in a color, from dark to light, from dark to light. We just made a value scale and it's all right. So if you use this idea of pushing down and really coloring nice and, whoop, get that paper up here, nice and dark, I think that you're going to find that you're going to get a really beautiful artwork. So notice here, I'm going to start coloring in this scale dark, and then I'm just going to start to add a little bit less muscle there, so it becomes light. And that's just like that. I'm artifying my fish to make it look beautiful. I might want to do that a little bit on the top. I might want to do that right on top of where I've added my marker, maybe around the gills, anywhere that I want, so that I end up with a fish that kind of looks like this. You can see where I've done some layering of the crayon, put some green and some yellow in there right on top of the marker. And then you're going to notice one more thing, okay? After you finish this, and again, don't rush this, you know. I want you to take your time and really make this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful fish. When you're done with that, there's one more thing that's kind of important. What I want y'all to do is to take a yellow or an orange, kind of a opposite color of your ocean colors. So think about what colors the ocean are, the sea. It's a blue, get a little green in there, maybe tints of some purples, dark purples, right? These are the colors of the ocean. So the opposite colors, since those tend to be the cool colors, are going to be your warm colors. Think of the sun, your oranges and your yellows and your reds. So I like to take a nice yellow, see if I can grab my yellow in my bowl here. And then I like to go around my fish. Yes, I'm coloring on the outside of the line. That's okay sometimes. You know what? I like it when that happens. This actually happened with me when I made an oops. And then I went, ooh, actually, I love that oops. Because now I can do a watercolor wash all around this. And it's not going to get on the fish because that crayon has wax in it. And it's going to resist the actual coloring in of the fish. So I'm going to put this yellow all the way around, as you can see, all the way around my fish, and imagine that it's done. And then the very last thing that you're going to do is take some watercolor. Now let's say right now you're like, oh, party foul, I do not have any watercolors. That's fine. You can also use maybe some food dyes or different spices, or even get some dirt from outside. Put a little bit of water in that, take a little bit of a blue food dye, mix that up, and you can make a beautiful watercolor stain in the back of your paper. So check it out. I'm coming over here with my paints, and let me see if I can show you this. I got a little cup of water, I got a little brush, and the first thing you do with your paints is you got to wake them up, right? You got to put a little bit of water there, wake them up, and then I'm going to start to paint around my fish, just like so. Can y'all see that? I'm going to add a darker blue here with my light blue. So I've got some dark blues, I've got some light blues in there. Notice, because of the way that I added, here's just a little bit of green. Woo, mama, mixing that right up. Don't even have to worry about making an oops, because there's no way you can make an oops when you're watercoloring. You just kind of let the watercolor do what it wants to do and you embrace it. But notice that it's not going on top of the fish because I have that yellow border all around it. And now all of a sudden, you'll notice that my fish is starting to glow. It almost makes it look like he's in his own little private happy place in the ocean because that yellow is protecting him. Wouldn't it be nice if we could actually do that and protect the animals from the pollution that we all cause? Okay, so imagine now that I've colored in the entire fish. I'll put my sea turtle back here, and here we go. Now I've colored in all around my fish. I left a little bit of white there, and I can then cut this out and glue it onto another piece of paper. I can turn it into a puppet, maybe put a string or a straw behind it, maybe make a whole family of these fish and have myself a little play or a puppet show. Or I can just sign my name to it and hang it up and remember that this is something that I did during quarantine 2020. But hold that thought. We still have a few more seconds before we finish up. What if we took it one step forward and we really thought about what we just talked about, how to protect the animals. So what if we thought about taking, I don't know, a plastic water bottle. Hate me some plastic water bottles, right? And we cut pieces of the plastic water bottle out so that we ended up with these little pieces of, I don't know, maybe like coral. Took some marker and colored them in, and then we glued these down right underneath. So now all of a sudden this fish has a happy environment of some beautiful coral growing on the bottom of the sea, right? There's one piece. Here's another piece that I went ahead and cut out. Now, sometimes this plastic bottle can be a little bit sharp, so we might want to get mom and dad to help us cut that out. But that'd be a great way to recycle our water bottles. Another is, you know those plastic bags that you get? Oh my gosh, plastic is the worst thing ever for our animals. So what if we took that plastic and we cut out little pieces of coral or shells or rocks, and we glued some of those down on the bottom of our paper? How about that? Now we're really protecting the animals because we're taking some of these very dangerous items that we use all the time and take for granted, but we're using them to make art to go around and give our animal a healthy, safe environment and protect him from these, because we're not putting them in the landfill. So with that, I'm going to say thank you so much for being here. Again, my name is Debi West. My hashtag is Art with Purpose. I'm all about having kids and having the community make art that pays it forward and gives it back. So on behalf of the Palmetto Ocean Conservancy and the Guardians of the Sea program, I want you to go make some art and have a great time. Thanks so much.